Welcome back to Sunrise. Well, we're turning our attention now to an equally important matter because many expect that it's aimed at giving power to the people so that your voice can be heard. It has to do with the local government, the amendment of the Constitution. Yes, National Assembly did grant LG autonomy. There's also the independent candidature clause. INEC also to conduct local government elections. So we're looking at those developments in this segment with Segun Aka-Bashorun, who is the former vice chair of Ikosi local government in Lagos. That's LCD.
Koshofe, yeah.
Koshofe, beg your pardon. So let's correct that. Koshofe, thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And we remember we focused on local government for a while. Very important level of governance, as a matter of fact, the very first. But now, with this development where they've granted autonomy to the local government, we're waiting to see when whoever needs to do anything, maybe the state assemblies eventually seal it. Let's just look at the likely implication of this, hoping that the state houses of assembly will also concur with it. If this were to be finalized, where local governments have autonomy, and then what does this really mean, actually?
First, it means that officially, by law, we now have a third tier of government that is defined by law under the Constitution.
Didn't we have it before?
There was no clarity. It was ambiguous. And being that our democracy, we have to really get these facts right. Our democracy is pretty young. Just about 20 years of democracy, 57 years of independent rule. But democratic practice has just been barely over 20 years. So the average Nigerian is older than our democracy. So whether they are old or young, we are all equally young in this process as far as Nigeria is concerned. So in the last 17 years has been the best test tube for us in trying to get our democracy right. And we saw anomalies, especially in participatory democracy, because it has to be bottoms-up approach, not a trickle-down system in our democratic system. So we needed the third tier of government, which is where the majority of the citizenry are, to be able to participate in this process and feel the pulse of how democratic governance should really be.
How will this affect political dynamics?
Oh yes, it will, greatly. It's going to change the dynamics in ways you cannot even imagine. And I think in ways even the proponents and the initiators of this autonomy did not even envision.
Let's start with
because the state government will not be. I mean, you're free from the state.
Yes,
that's the literal meaning. You're free from the state.
Exactly. You wouldn't have that Well, let me bring, for the sake of the viewers who are not cognizant of how this system works. First and foremost, there are 4 important changes in local governance. There is the autonomy for financial autonomy and administrative autonomy. That is one aspect of it. The second aspect is the Office of the Auditor General for the local government. I'll come to them. They're so important. And then the Civil Service Commission for local government. And of course, INEC conducting the election. The implication is this. What we have seen in the last 17 years has been the interest of a few ruling the majority, almost by force. And what has happened is that local governance, the average Nigerians don't have, there's apathy, there's no interest in local governance, because they believe there's no point participating in the process. People already know who the winners are. If you're going to be elected, if you're going to be nominated to represent the party, you must be one of the good old boys. So we don't see governance and we don't see development at local government grassroots. Funny enough, if we take the last 17 years as an example, the average local government, let's assume at the minimum, collects about 30 million monthly from the federal allocation. 30 million monthly. In a year, that's 360 million. For each local government. Yes, throughout the whole of Nigeria, that's 774 local governments, obviously. But in one local government, in the last 17 years, there is no local government in Nigeria that has not received over 6 billion naira in grant from the federal government.
Does it get to them?
It gets to them. Well, That's a different question. Whether it gets to them or not, what it shows is that if each local government had 6 billion in the last 17 years, at the least, not including ecological fund, subsidy fund, and on the average, sometimes some of them, yeah, exactly, bailout funds. Some have been collecting 100 million on a monthly basis, but let's take the paltry sum of 30 million monthly. That amounts to 360 yearly. In the last 17 years, the average local government will have collected over 6 billion on the average. Is there any local government in Nigeria that you can see an investment on ground of over 100 million to talk about?
Were the local government not being true to themselves?
No, it's Nigerians. We are not being true to ourselves because we failed to practice democracy.
So what guarantee is there that the truthfulness will come out with this new document?
Exactly. So what the local government autonomy does with these new changes in the local government law is that the office, once you get financial autonomy, so I give you money directly.
Auditor General's role.
Now, if the money gets to you directly, you have in the administrative autonomy as well. So if the money gets to you, I pay you, I audit you. So that's what the Office of the Auditor General is for. Right now, we have that at the local government. Every local government is audited by the state government auditor. But because they are part of the good old boys, they are part of the ruling structure, the ruling party, and some of those are appointees of the ruling parties. So nobody is audited. So while the local government, what money they collected, how they accounted for the money, nobody knows. If there's an audit flag, nobody hears about it because it's a party issue and is resolved within the party leaders and hierarchies.
So if the Auditor General audits...
now we have the Office of the Auditor General
Yeah.
from the Constitution being established. So the loyalty goes to the Constitution because the Constitution has now created the Office of the Auditor General. The Constitution created the State Local Government Service Commission. So the loyalty of those institutions are to the Constitution that created them. So in their process of auditing, in their process of recruitment of local government staffs, there will be circumstance for the interest, in the interest of the Constitution, not the interest of the party leaders. Because right now, what you see, if you go to the civil service...
Party leaders or state governments?
State government and party leaders in the state government. If you go to our local government, most of the recruitments are party faithfuls. Because why? When there's an opening for employment, they share it among the party leaders. The same way they share contracts. If the local government chairman gets there, who is he giving contract to? Is it the people that have been advertised on the television or on newspapers? You know that is not true. The contracts are shared amongst the party leaders, the godfathers in each of those local governments.
So who would the contracts
and
go
then
to now?
the same people...
Who would the contracts go to now?
Oh, now it will be different. Because now, your reality, you don't want to be audited. You don't want a red flag as a local government chairman. Because the federal government gave you the money and established Auditor General's office to oversee, to audit the money they have given to you. So you're not going to run to any state governor or state auditor general or any of those parts, all of these party faithfuls to guard you.
How does this affect members representing their constituencies at the National Assembly?
The members representing their constituency, it doesn't affect them, no. There is no direct, the direct correlation is that they can bring to attention if there's underdevelopment in their local government and say, listen, let's raise, there are issues, I have petitions from this local government, I come from this local government, I need the audit, I need this local government to be audited because there are reports.
So there's no change.
Now,
so those changes will come because petitions now will be outside of the purview of the states.